Recently, I helped a couple with their budgeting, and they only did gig work. That was their sole income. They did Uber deliveries and Doordash deliveries and stuff like that for delivering food, and they did that a lot. They were staying afloat, they were managing to pay their bills, sort of, but they were falling behind. And I tried to be encouraging as I could be because they wanted to have flexible hours for working. On the other hand, they were working like 6 days a week and some days 10 hours a day, just driving around delivering food, trying to earn enough to pay their rent. They were definitely struggling. They were ending up eating pretty poorly and didn't have the budget to actually get decent food for themselves. They were eating a lot of fast food because they didn't have time to actually make meals, even if they could have afforded the groceries. And they lived kind of in a not that great place. Like, their apartment was not the best. I had to ask them, couldn't one of you work a more 9 to 5 job and the other one do maybe the Ubering or something, because you guys are not bringing in quite enough. I think you know that, that's why I'm here. They didn't necessarily love that, but they were really just on the edge every month, like so close. And the thing is if they missed even a day of Ubering, they might not be able to pay rent, and then they'd get a late fee on their rent. You know, there was this constant fear of, oh no, I have to get in my hours driving around and doing this stuff. Something would come up. Oh, the car. Man, they had a lot of car issues. Why wouldn't they? They're using the car a whole extra amount trying to do this kind of work. And so the car kept having breakdown issues that would come up, like they needed to fix the rotors on the brake, or they had one of the mirrors come loose on it and they had to duct tape it back on because they couldn't afford to actually fix it. They had a bunch of bolts break on one of their tire hubcaps, stuff like that. And I said, you need something more reliable. Even though you want the flexible hours, you need that. You need to be able to actually have reliable finances, because what you're doing right now is cutting it so close. And you're going to end up in a very bad situation. You're going to end up with an eviction. And evictions are agony to have on your record. I've seen people before who had an eviction 7 years ago, and it still haunts them when they try to get rentals. It's a horrible, horrible thing. So I convinced them to drive a little further away to a county where they'd be guaranteed a certain amount of wages per hour. And they definitely made more doing that. And they were able to cut back their hours while earning more income. That was sort of the compromise. I did say eventually it would be better if one of you could just get a more stable job, even if part-time. Even if it wasn't full 9 to 5, and you do a little bit Ubering on the side, having some sort of more consistent income than what you guys are currently having, that's gonna help you in the long run. And also, doing this kind of work is stressful, and they'd be just like sitting around in their car and get harassed, or else, there's no parking for free here, so one of you gets out of the vehicle, goes grab stuff, and the other one drives in circles. And so they would do like 3 hours each alone, and then an extra 3 hours together during really rough rush hour times when there'd be no parking, so that they could do that and waste extra gas money driving around in circles around the block over and over until the other person came out. Like, it was very just non-conducive to quality of life. And I get when people feel forced into that situation, maybe they got laid off, they don't have another option, they need to pay the bills. But this couple specifically even though they were struggling to pay the bills, were really trying to avoid a 9 to 5. They were really young and they valued their freedom, but they didn't seem very free. And I think that's the really tragic thing about gig work in specific, because I've done gig work. I've done dog walking for like Rover and stuff like that. Like, when you're poor and you just got to make things happen, you do what you got to do. It isn't something that feels good long term usually, though. I don't know. I didn't feel that confident leaving. Sadly, it's been a little bit, and they were supposed to re-up their lease, and because they've paid late as many times as they have, essentially their landlord is doing a soft eviction where it's not going to be an eviction on their record or anything like that, but they're also not going to re-up their lease. They're not going to offer them the opportunity to continue to live there. And so now they have, this short notice, oh, we've got to move, everything's thrown off. When I left, I felt worried. So I've been trying to help them a little bit, explain to them some of their options and help them not, end up homeless or anything like that. But it's hard because you can see this hopelessness in a lot of young people. And I've mentioned this before on other videos where I've helped other young people with their budget. There's this sense of, well, why even try hard? It's not like I'll ever be able to have a house. It's not like I'll ever be able to retire. It's not like I'll ever have, a portfolio or lots of money. It's not like I'll ever be able to have nice things. So why even try hard? And I just wish that hopelessness could be combated so much. That's why I am going back to college and going to pursue financial ethics and go into financial justice, because that hopelessness is so pervasive and it just is gut-wrenching. And if they maybe actually felt like, oh, they could accomplish something, or they could actually have some semblance of quality of life, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to disregard the idea of a career. And maybe if they thought they could earn enough to have a livable wage, maybe they wouldn't feel like, oh, why even bother? Maybe if they thought with that livable wage they could travel and do really freeing things, maybe they wouldn't associate these random stressful hours with some sort of freedom. I just really want there to be more done, because something needs to be done. And I'm a few years away from being able to do as much about it as I would like to, but if someone wants to step in between those years and start going on it, by all means, someone go out there and start changing some regulations, some statutes, and helping money to be more in circulation instead of funneled upward and hoarded. Because younger people are really, really struggling to have hope.